The station hung in space like a forgotten relic, drifting near the edge of a dying star system. Its walls were scratched and worn, and the lights flickered as if they feared to stay on. Somewhere deep in the shadows, a small figure shivered. She was young, no more than 16 cycles old, but her alien body already had the sharp edges and elongated limbs of her species. Her skin was pale blue, almost glowing faintly in the darkness, and her eyes were too big for her face, reflecting the dim light like mirrors. Lyra had been abandoned. Her family, cold and unfeeling, had left her behind on this station, deeming her useless. She had begged, pleaded, and tried to explain that she could still serve them in some way. But they did not listen. They saw only weakness, only something to discard. And now she floated in their absence, silent tears sliding down her cheeks, the sound of her own breathing the loudest thing in the empty corridors. Her stomach growled, reminding her that hunger could kill faster than loneliness. She crept through the hallways, careful to avoid the patrol drones that sometimes glided silently, scanning for intruders or malfunctioning systems. Lyra had learned to hide, to move like a shadow, slipping along walls and using the small maintenance shafts to avoid detection. Survival was all she had left, and even that was uncertain. Days blurred into nights, or what passed for days and nights on a station orbiting a star so weak it barely lit the space around it. Lyra scavenged scraps of food from storage pods, finding them mostly empty or rotting. She drank recycled water and tried to stay alive. Her only company was the faint hum of machinery and the occasional distant crash when a part of the station broke down. She whispered to herself to stay sane, repeating her own name as if saying it aloud could remind her she was still real. She thought about her family sometimes. Not with love, but with confusion. How could beings who had carried her in the same womb, who had taught her language and taught her to hunt and fight, throw her away as though she were nothing? The thought burned inside her chest, a fire she could not quench. Yet somewhere deep, a small part of her hoped they might return. Maybe they had realized their mistake. Maybe they would come for her. But hope was a dangerous thing here, and Lyra knew it. It was during one of these lonely nights that she first noticed the shadow in the central hub of the station. She had been moving carefully, scanning for supplies, when a strange vibration hummed through the floor. She froze. The sound was different from the usual creaks and groans of the station. It was deliberate, rhythmic, almost like the heartbeat of some enormous machine. Curiosity overcame fear. She crept closer, hiding behind a broken console, peering out with wide eyes. That's when she saw him. He was human, from what she could tell. A man, tall and broad-shouldered, wearing a suit that glimmered with protective plating. His face was stern, with short-cropped hair and eyes that seemed sharp enough to read a mind. Lyra had never seen a human in person. Stories told of humans as fragile and soft, yet cunning, brave and unpredictable. This one seemed different. Strong, calm, and determined. The human did not notice her at first. He moved with purpose, checking panels, scanning the room, muttering to himself in a language Lyra had not heard before. He seemed interested in the station itself, not the shadows or hidden corners. That gave her a chance. She stayed hidden, watching him, feeling a strange mix of fear and fascination. Suddenly, a part of the floor gave way near her hiding spot. Metal groaned and twisted, sending a shower of sparks across the room. She stumbled back and a loud clank echoed through the hall. The human turned instantly, his eyes locking on her. "Hey!" he called, his voice firm but not angry. "Are you okay?" Lyra's instinct screamed at her to run, to hide, to protect herself. She had no reason to trust anyone, especially not a human, but she was weak, hungry, and exhausted. She couldn't run forever. I'm fine," she whispered, barely audible. "You don't sound fine," he said, stepping closer. There was a softness in his voice now, a warmth that surprised her. He held out a hand, not threatening, just offering. "Come on. Let's get you out of here before this place collapses on you." Lyra hesitated. She had learned that trusting others could get you killed. But something in the human's eyes made her pause. There was no malice, no hunger for power, only concern. Slowly, reluctantly, she took his hand. He pulled her gently, guiding her away from the weak floor. The station groaned and shuddered around them, chunks of debris falling from the ceiling. Sparks flew and alarms blared. Lyra clutched the human's arm, feeling a strange sense of safety for the first time in what felt like forever. They reached his ship, small but sturdy, parked at the docking bay. Lyra had never seen a human ship up close. It smelled of oil and metal, a comforting scent somehow, and she noticed tools, supplies, and careful arrangements that spoke of order and care. The human, Marcus, he introduced himself as, helped her inside, offering food and water. She ate slowly, her eyes darting around, still unsure. He watched her quietly, giving her space, speaking in calm tones. "You don't have to be afraid," he said. "I won't hurt you. I promise." The words felt strange in her ears. Promises were not something her family made lightly. They broke them easily, but Marcus seemed different. Over the next hours, he repaired the small wounds on her arms and legs, cleaned her clothes, and even made her a small bed to rest. Lyra lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the ship's engines, wondering if she was dreaming. "Why did they leave you?" Marcus asked quietly. Lyra flinched. The question hit deep. She wanted to hide, to turn away, but something in her chest ached to be heard. "They didn't need me anymore," she admitted. "They said I was useless, weak." Marcus nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Some families are like that," he said. "They only see what they want to see. But that doesn't mean you're weak. It just means they were wrong." Lyra didn't know how to respond. No one had ever said anything like that to her. Her family had only criticized, ordered, or abandoned. But Marcus's words lingered, planting a seed she didn't yet understand. As the ship left the dying star system behind, the darkness of space seemed less threatening. She watched the stars slide past, glittering and beautiful. For the first time, she felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps this human was not just a rescuer. Perhaps he was a chance at something she had never known. Safety, kindness, and maybe even friendship. Days passed aboard the ship. Marcus taught her how to move in zero gravity, how to handle the small tools and navigation systems. He asked about her life, listening patiently as she spoke in broken sentences. The story of her family, her fears, her survival. She was wary, but she found herself opening up more than she had with anyone. One night, she finally asked, "Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." Marcus smiled faintly. "Because it's the right thing to do," he said simply. "I've seen too many people left behind. You don't deserve that." No one does. Lyra thought about that. No one had ever said something like that before. It was strange, warm, and scary all at once, but she wanted to believe it. She wanted to trust him. Then, without warning, the ship shuddered violently. Red lights flashed and alarms blared. Lyra clutched the railing, her heart hammering. Marcus's face hardened. "We've been spotted," he said. "Hold on." Outside the viewport, she saw sleek ships approaching, dark and menacing. Her stomach dropped. Her alien family? Could it be them? She didn't know, but fear clawed at her chest. Marcus grabbed her hand. "Stay calm. We'll get through this together." The next moments were a blur of motion and noise. Marcus piloted the ship with skill, dodging and weaving through debris fields, narrowly avoiding the pursuing vessels. Lyra held on tightly, the fear mixing with a strange thrill she had never known. Finally, after what felt like hours, the pursuers gave up. Lyra sank to the floor, trembling but alive. Marcus looked at her with a tired smile. "You're safe, for now." Lyra stared out at the stars, the blackness stretching endlessly before them. She realized that her life had changed forever. She had been thrown away like trash, abandoned by those who were supposed to care for her. But now, with a human by her side, she had a chance to survive, to belong, to grow. And maybe, just maybe, she could start to heal. The journey ahead would be dangerous, full of unknowns and challenges. But for the first time, Lyra didn't feel completely alone. She was still a castaway, but no longer helpless. And that thought gave her a small, stubborn spark of hope. The human ship glided smoothly through space, carrying Lyra farther from the danger she had known. Outside the viewport, the stars stretched endlessly, cold and beautiful. Lyra's small hands pressed against the glass as she watched the black expanse, trying to imagine a future beyond fear and abandonment. Marcus sat beside her, quietly monitoring the ship's systems. He did not speak much, but his presence was enough to calm her racing heart. Days passed in a rhythm of learning and recovery. Marcus taught her to navigate, to handle tools, and to read star maps. Lyra absorbed everything eagerly. For the first time, she felt useful, capable, and alive. The human colony they were heading to was a small but thriving settlement on a planet called Alaris. Marcus had told her stories about the lush forests, the warm sun, and the kindness of the people who lived there. Lyra found herself dreaming of it, imagining a place where she could belong. When they arrived, the colony was even more vibrant than Marcus had described. Trees with golden leaves stretched toward a clear sky, streams of crystal water ran through the village, and humans of all shapes and sizes moved about, working together. Lyra's wide eyes reflected the beauty and order around her. She had never known such warmth, such life. Marcus introduced her to the colony's leaders. They were cautious but welcoming, intrigued by Lyra's story and impressed by her survival against the odds. They offered her shelter, food, and guidance, and she accepted, though her alien pride made her cautious. She stayed in a small hut near the edge of the village, learning human ways and customs. Every meal, every shared story, every smile chipped away at the fear that had lodged itself deep in her heart. But peace is always fragile in the universe. Lyra's alien family had not forgotten her. They had sent bounty hunters, ruthless and skilled, to retrieve her and punish her for what they called betrayal. Marcus had warned her that they could arrive at any moment. Lyra felt a cold knot in her stomach, knowing that the past she had tried to leave behind could return at any time. She trained quietly, learning self-defense from Marcus and other members of the colony. Her alien body was naturally strong, fast, and resilient, but she needed to combine that with human ingenuity. Marcus taught her strategy, patience, and observation. Lyra discovered that humans could be fierce not just in strength, but in their cleverness and teamwork. Slowly, she began to feel that she could face her family if the time came. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the golden trees, the alarm bells of the colony rang sharply. Lyra's heart pounded. Marcus grabbed her arm. "They're here," he said. "Stay close." Outside, dark ships hovered in the sky. Lyra recognized the shapes, sleek, deadly, and unmistakably from her home system. Her alien family had come. She felt anger and fear twisting together in her chest. Memories of cold words, harsh treatment, and abandonment surged through her. She realized she would not run this time. She would not beg. The colony mobilized. Humans worked quickly, setting up defensive barriers, activating energy shields, and coordinating in ways Lyra had never imagined. Marcus moved beside her, calm and focused, a steady presence in the storm. He whispered, "Remember, we fight smart, not just hard. You can do this." Lyra took a deep breath. Her hands clenched into fists. She felt her alien strength mix with her human lessons. She was ready. The first wave of attackers landed near the colony's outskirts. Lyra and Marcus led a small team to intercept them. The alien soldiers were fierce, but they had underestimated humans. Humans fought with unpredictability, using traps, clever maneuvers, and coordinated strikes. Lyra darted forward, her movements swift and precise. She used her alien agility to her advantage, confusing the attackers who expected her to be weak and submissive. Marcus covered her, moving with practiced precision, and together they pushed the enemy back. Lyra felt exhilaration. This was not just survival. This was resistance, courage, and determination. She realized for the first time that she had power, that she could defend herself and others. The battle intensified as her family's leader appeared. He was tall and imposing, his eyes cold and calculating. Lyra's chest tightened at the sight of him, but she did not back down. She remembered every insult, every betrayal, every moment she had been discarded. Anger and resolve fused into a force she had never known. Marcus stepped beside her. "You don't have to fight alone," he said. Lyra nodded. Together they charged. The fight was fierce. Lyra moved with a blend of alien strength and human cunning. She dodged attacks, struck back with precision, and coordinated with the humans around her. Marcus used clever strategies to outmaneuver the alien leader, creating openings that Lyra could exploit. The colony's unity surprised her attackers. Humans were not just physically weaker in appearance, but their intelligence, cooperation, and courage made them formidable. Finally, Lyra faced her alien family head-on. She did not speak, only stared, letting her presence and strength communicate her defiance. The leader lunged, expecting to intimidate her, but she sidestepped, using his momentum against him. She struck with a controlled force, sending him sprawling. The other attackers faltered, unsure of what to do. The humans seized the moment, pushing the remaining enemies back to their ships. Lyra's family, humiliated and defeated, retreated. Lyra stood tall, breathing heavily, but feeling a sense of triumph she had never known. She had faced those who had thrown her away and emerged stronger, wiser, and more confident. The colony erupted in cheers. Humans congratulated her, clapped her on the back, and celebrated the victory. Lyra felt warmth and belonging in a way she had never imagined. She realized that family was not only about blood, but about those who stood by you, protected you, and believed in you. Later, as the sun set over Alaris, Marcus and Lyra walked through the golden fields surrounding the colony. She looked up at him, her eyes reflecting gratitude and newfound trust. "Thank you," she said simply. Marcus smiled. "You did it yourself," he replied. "I just showed you the way." You had the strength all along. Lyra considered that. Strength alone had not saved her before. It was courage, intelligence, and trust in others that had made the difference. She felt a strange pride. She was no longer just a discarded child of a cold family. She was a survivor, a fighter, and part of something greater than herself. Days turned into weeks. Lyra trained, learned, and adapted. She helped rebuild parts of the colony damaged during the attack, earning respect and admiration from everyone. She shared stories of her past, not with bitterness but with lessons learned, inspiring others who felt weak or abandoned. One evening, as the twin moons of Alaris rose in the sky, Lyra stood on a hill overlooking the colony. She felt the wind against her skin, smelled the scent of golden leaves, and listened to the distant laughter of children playing. She realized she had found a place where she belonged. She had found a family and humans who valued her for who she was, not for what she could provide. Marcus joined her, standing silently at her side. He did not need to speak. The bond between them was clear. Lyra understood that true strength came from compassion, unity, and the courage to stand up for oneself and others. The galaxy was vast and full of danger, but for the first time Lyra did not feel small or helpless. She was ready to face whatever came next, knowing she was not alone. Her past with her alien family was behind her, a shadow she no longer feared. Ahead lay new adventures, new friends, and a life she could shape with her own hands. She had been thrown away like trash, but she had been rescued, and she had risen stronger than anyone had expected. And in the quiet of the night, with stars stretching endlessly above, Lyra smiled. She was home.